I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless. For what is valuable belongs to me. I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek, for only that do I desire to find. I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless. I will not value what is valueless. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today here on my place out in my pasture or field, out in the prairie, the meadow, whatever you want to call it. A bunch of buttercups behind us. Hope you can see them. We'll talk about buttercups in a minute, but aren't they little cute little things just so that you can see it. Let me see if I can pick one that's a little longer, and I hope you can kind of get an idea of what a buttercup looks like. These are called prairie buttercups or early buttercups. Can you see that while I'm and let's see what else. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you that the genus and we'll get to that later. Okay, let's take a look at lesson 133 in A Course in Miracles, and we're ready. That's what we're ready for. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version of A Course in Miracles this year. And lesson 133 is for Tuesday, May the 13th of 2025. I will not value what is valueless. Sometimes in teaching there is benefit, particularly after you have gone through what seems theoretical and far from what the student has already learned, to bring him back to practical concerns. This we will do today. We will not speak of lofty, world-encompassing ideas, but dwell instead on benefits to you. Don't value the valueless. Of course, that's kind of a world-encompassing idea, the way I look at it, but that's Jesus talking, not me. I mean, I'm the one saying, well, that seems a pretty lofty idea in itself. But he's saying that's a practical concern. You do not ask too much of life, but far too little. Wow, is that true about you? He's saying it for us. You do not ask too much of life, but far too little. When you let your mind be drawn to bodily concerns, to things you buy, to eminence as valued by the world, you ask for sorrow, not for happiness. This course does not attempt to take from you the little that you have. Isn't that nice? This course does not attempt to take from you the little that you have. It does not try to substitute utopian ideas for satisfactions which the world contains. There are no satisfactions in the world. Today we list the real criteria by which to test all things you think you want. Unless they meet these sound requirements, they are not worth desiring at all, for they can but replace what offers more. The laws that govern choice you cannot make, no more than you can make alternatives from which to choose. The choosing you can do, indeed you must, but it is wise to learn the laws you set in motion when you choose, and what alternatives you choose between. We've already stressed there are but two, however many there appear to be. The range is set. and this we cannot change. It would be most ungenerous to you to let alternatives be limitless, and thus delay your final choice until you have considered all of them in time, and not been brought so clearly to the place where there is but one choice that must be made. Okay, and of course the choice is between love and fear, between peace and its opposite in any form you want to say, between truth and illusion, heaven and hell. Those are the choices. It's all one. Another kindly and related law is that there is no compromise in what your choice must bring. It cannot give you just a little, for there is no in between. Each choice you make brings everything to you or nothing. Therefore, if you learn the tests by which you can distinguish everything from nothing, you will make the better choice. First, if you choose a thing that will not last forever, what you choose is valueless. Wow. A temporary value is without all meaning. Like I said, that last sentence. First, if you choose a thing that will not last forever, what you choose is valueless. To me, that's a very lofty idea. But he's saying that's just, how does he say it? It's a practical concern there in the first sentence. First, if you choose a thing that will not last forever, what you choose is valueless. And I'm not saying Jesus is wrong. I'm just saying we're not functioning intellectually at the level he's talking about. And let's get to that level. That's why he talks in the level that we can get to. A temporary value is without all value. Time can never take away a value that is real. What fades and dies was never there, and makes no offering to him who chooses it. He is deceived by nothing in a form he thinks he likes. I love Jesus' humor too. Next, if you choose to take a thing away from someone else, you will have nothing left. This is because when you deny his right to everything, you have denied your own. You therefore will not recognize the things you really have, denying they are there. Who seeks to take away has been deceived by the illusion loss can offer gain. Yet loss must offer loss and nothing more. Your next consideration is the one on which the others rest. Why is the choice you make of value to you? What attracts your mind to it? What purpose does it serve? Here it is easiest of all to be deceived. For what the ego wants, it fails to recognize. It does not even tell the truth as it perceives it, for it needs to keep the halo which it uses to protect its goals from tarnish and from rust, that you see how innocent it is. Yet is it let's read that sentence again. For what the ego wants, it fails to recognize. It does not even tell the truth as it perceives it, for it needs to keep the halo which it uses to protect its goals from tarnish and from rust, that you may see how innocent it is. So the ego wants you to think that it's innocent, when really its only goal is to cause you. It wants you dead. We're learning. You're gonna make. You are guilty, and your guilt's gonna chase you all the way into hell. We're gonna learn more about that as we read today. Yesterday I read a sentence that I want to repeat because I really didn't read it correctly, and I didn't put the emphasis where it should. I think I even used a word that was, I think I said loose instead of lose. I'm not sure. But it's in yesterday's reading, 132, paragraph 8. Let's just read the paragraph again real quick. And some will find it in this course and in the exercises that we do today. Today's idea is true because the world does not exist. And if it is indeed your own imagining, then you can loose it from all things you ever thought it was by merely changing all the thoughts that gave it these appearances. That was the sentence. The sick are healed as you let go all thoughts of sickness, and the dead arise when you let thoughts of life replace all thoughts you ever held of death. Anyway, I read that in a way where it didn't make sense to me, and after I closed, I looked at it a little closer, and I go, I should have read that a little better. I feel like the best thing I can do in teaching is just put the emphasis where it belongs. But if I don't do that, I'm not much of a teacher. Or a good reader. Okay, so let's back up paragraph 8. Your next consideration is the one on which the others rest. Why is the choice you make of value to you? What attracts your mind to it? What purpose does it serve? Here it is easiest of all to be deceived. For what the ego wants it fails to recognize. It does not even tell the truth as it perceives it. For it needs to keep the halo which it uses to protect its goals from tarnish and from rust, that you may see how, in quotes, innocent it is. Yet is its camouflage a thin veneer which could deceive but those who are content to be deceived. Its goals are obvious to anyone who cares to look for them. Here is deception doubled, for the one who is deceived will not perceive that he has merely failed to gain. He will believe that he has served the ego's hidden goals. Yet though he tries to keep its halo clear within his vision, still must he perceive its tarnished edges and its rusted core. His ineffectual mistakes appear as sins to him, because he looks upon the tarnish as his own, the rust a sign of deep unworthiness within himself. He who would still preserve the ego's goals and serve them as his own makes no mistakes, according to the dictates of his guide. This guidance teaches it as error to believe that sins are but mistakes, for who would suffer for his sins if this were so? And so we come to the criterion for choice that is the hardest to believe, because its obviousness is overlaid with many levels of obscurity. If you feel any guilt about your choice, you have allowed the ego's goals to come between the real alternatives, and thus you do not realize there are but two: heaven and hell, peace and fear, love and fear. And the alternative, and thus you do, okay, let's back up. If you feel any guilt about your choice, you have allowed the ego's goals to come between the real alternatives. And thus you do not realize there are but two. And the alternative you think you chose seems fearful and too dangerous to be the nothingness it actually is. All things are valuable or valueless, worthy or not of being sought at all, entirely desirable or not worth the slightest effort to obtain. Choosing is easy just because of this. Complexity is nothing but a screen of smoke, which hides the very simple fact that no decision can be difficult. What is the gain to you in learning this? It is far more than merely letting you make choices easily and without pain. Heaven itself is reached with empty hands and open minds, which come with nothing to find everything and claim it as their own. We should read that sentence again. We're taking a little longer to do this, though. Maybe I better not. Heaven itself is reached with empty hands and open minds, which come with nothing to find everything and claim it as their own. We will attempt to reach this state today with self-deception laid aside and an honest willingness to value but the truly valuable and the real. Our 2 extended practice periods of 15 minutes each begin with this: I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek, for only that do I desire to find. And then receive what waits for everyone who reaches unencumbered to the gate of heaven, which swings open as he comes. Should you begin to let yourself collect some needless burdens, or believe you see some difficult decisions facing you, be quick to answer with this simple thought: I will not value what is valueless, for what is valuable belongs to me. Just to make this simple and practical concern, just follow your peace. If your peace is shattered, know that you're not following practical concerns. And that's the most practical thing you can do, is just be aware of the peace in your heart. And when it's disturbed, know that you're following the ego's guidance. You're following guilt's manifestation. Okay, we're ready for chapter 15 in our text. The holy instant, the two uses of time. I'm going to read about half of this section. Can you imagine what it means to have no cares, no worries, but merely to be perfectly calm and quiet all the time? Can you imagine what it means to have no cares, no worries, no anxiety, but merely to be perfectly calm and quiet all the time? Be imagining that. Yet that is what time is for, to learn just that and nothing more. God's teacher cannot be satisfied with his teaching until it constitutes all your learning. He has not fulfilled his teaching function until you have become such a consistent learner that you learn only of him. When this has happened, you will no longer need a teacher or time in which to learn. Paragraph 2. One source of perceived discouragement from which you may suffer is your belief that this takes time, and that the results of the Holy Spirit's teaching are far in the future. This is not so, for the Holy Spirit uses time in his own way, and is not bound by it. Time is his friend in teaching. It does not waste him as it does you, and all the waste that time seems to bring with it is due but to your identification with the ego, which uses time to support its belief in destruction. The ego, like the Holy Spirit, uses time to convince you of the inevitability of the goal and end of teaching. To the ego, the goal is death, which is its end. But to the Holy Spirit, the goal is life, which has no end. 3. The ego is an ally of time, not a friend. For it is as mistrustful of death as it is of life, and what it wants for you it cannot tolerate. The ego wants you dead, but not itself. The outcome of this strange religion must therefore be the conviction that it can pursue you beyond the grave, and out of its unwillingness for you to find peace even in death, it offers you immortality in hell, immortal hell, everlasting destruction. It speaks to you of heaven, but assures you that heaven is not for you. How can the guilty hope for heaven? I mean, I'm laughing about it, but it's tragic. The belief in hell is inescapable to those who identify with the ego. Their nightmares and their fears are all associated with it. The ego teaches that hell is in the future, for this is what all its teaching is directed to. Hell is its goal. For although the ego aims at death and dissolution as an end, it does not believe it. The goal of death which it craves for you leaves it unsatisfied. No one who follows the ego's teaching is without the fear of death. Yet if death were thought of merely as an end to pain, would it be feared? We have seen this strange paradox in the ego's thought system before, but never so clearly as here. For the ego must seem to keep fear from you to hold your allegiance. Yet it must engender fear in order to maintain itself. It walks that balance between making you fearful, but not too much fear, so that you don't be devoted to it. Yet it must engender fear in order to maintain itself. Again, the ego tries and all too frequently succeeds in doing both. by using dissociation for holding its contradictory aims together so that they seem to be reconciled. The ego teaches thus: death is the end as far as hope of heaven goes. Yet because you and the ego cannot be separated, and because it cannot conceive of its own death, it will pursue you still, because guilt is eternal. Such is the ego's version of immortality, and it is this the ego's version of time supports. 5. The ego teaches that heaven is here and now because the future is hell, even when it attacks so savagely that it tries to take the life of someone who thinks it is the only voice. It speaks of hell even to him, for it tells him hell is here as well and bids him leap from hell into oblivion. The only time the ego allows anyone to look upon with equanimity is the past with calmness, equanimity. The only time the ego allows anyone to look upon with equanimity is the past. And even there, its only value is that it is no more. How bleak and despairing is the ego's use of time, and how terrifying, for underneath its fanatical insistence that the past and future be the same is hidden a far more insidious threat to peace. The ego does not advertise its final threat, for it would have its worshippers still believe that it can offer them escape. But the belief in guilt must lead to the belief in hell, and always does. The only way in which the ego allows the fear of hell to be experienced is to bring hell here, but always as a foretaste to the future. For no one who considers himself as deserving of hell can believe that punishment will end in peace. 7. The Holy Spirit teaches thus: there is no hell. Hell is only what the ego has made of the present. The belief in hell is what prevents you from understanding the present, because you are afraid of it. The Holy Spirit leads as steadily to heaven as the ego drives to hell. For the Holy Spirit, who knows only the present, uses it to undo the fear by which the ego would make the present useless. There is no escape from fear in the ego's use of time. For time, according to its teaching, is nothing but a teaching device for compounding guilt until it becomes all-encompassing, demanding vengeance forever. And the last paragraph we'll read for today, which we're about halfway through this section. The Holy Spirit would undo all that is now. The Holy Spirit would undo all of this now. Fear is not of the present, but only of the past and future, which do not exist. There is no fear in the present when each instant stands clear and separated from the past, without its shadow reaching out into the future. Be here now, not in the future or the past. Each instant is a clean, untarnished birth in which the Son of God emerges from the past into the present, and the present extends forever. It is so beautiful and so clean and free of guilt that nothing but happiness is there. No darkness is remembered, and immortality and joy are now. Okay, well, let's keep in mind today, I will not value what is valueless, for what is valuable belongs to me. Say that throughout the day, and particularly when you're tempted to doubt there, to get yourself caught up into the future, the past, or guilt, or any loss of peace. Tell yourself, I will not value what is valueless, and what is valuable. For what is valuable belongs to me. Okay, and let's see what's going on around the world. It's Purim of Judaism. Commemorates the events described in the book of Esther. Sri Ramakrishna Jayanta, a Hindu festival celebrating Sri Ramakrishna, who was born in 1836. I found the rest of these on holidays and observances, and I'm just listing a few of them they had listed. Children of Fallen Patriots Day, Cough Drop Day, Frog Jumping Day, IEEE Global Engineering the Future Day, Apple Pie Day, the Malus Domestica Day, huh? Fruit Cocktail Day, Leprechaun Day, Lucky Leprechaun, and Tulip Day. And you know, I was going to look up what tulips genus is. There are probably several species. I was going to look all that up and I forgot. I was going to tell you a little bit more about these buttercups. They're all, you can see all the yellow throughout the field. They're, like I said, they're called the prairie buttercup or the early buttercup. And WebMD says that despite safety concerns, it has been used for arthritis, nerve pain, skin problems, inflammation, and bronchitis. Thought that was pretty cool. And the genus, it's Ranunculus, and a species is fascicularis. And then I had one more, another rhubarb out of Edible Landscaping. The rheum, it's a rheum hybridum, which I think just means that several species they mixed to make this crimson red rhubarb. Crimson red is considered a sweet rhubarb variety. It is a cloned variety of rhubarb, not from seed. Grows true to type and ensures the size, flavor, and color of crimson red. The best of 25 varieties in impartial tests. Most rhubarb varieties show their red coloring only at the bottom of the stalks. With purebred plants, the color goes all the way up the stalk like ruby chard and sometimes into the stalk. Redness may vary from northern to southern growing conditions. Plants are hardy in Canada, zone 4 through 9, spaced 2 to 3 foot circles. See, with purebred plants, the color goes all the way up the stalk like ruby chard and continues into the stalk. I'm not sure why it says it that way, but anyway, all the way up the stalk. Okay, it was anything. Oh, our word for peace is from the Akan people of the Pra and the between the Pra and the Afan rivers of they're in West Africa, in Ghana, down to the Gulf of Guinea. And the word for peace is Asomdwoa. Asomdwoa. So Asomdwoa be with you. Now, before you do your meditation, say, I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek. For only that do I desire to find. I will not value what is valueless, and only what has value do I seek. For only that do I desire to find. Then throughout the day, I will not value what is valueless, and what is valuable belongs to me. I will not value what is valueless, for what is valuable belongs to me. Oh, Tom Turkey's come up to join us, hasn't he? He seems to like to follow me around. Okay, so our word for peace from the Akan people, A-K-A-N. Is that Akan or Akan? People of the Pra River is Asomdwoa. I will not value what is valueless. Asomdwoa.